talk about the caliber of leadership by our politicians. What do you believe are the essential leadership qualities needed for the role of MP, and more specifically, what qualifies you for that role?
Thank you, Bill, for that question. The wonderful thing about our democratic system in Canada is that we can have people from every walk of life participate in democracy. And it isn't one set of skills that people bring to the table that qualifies them to be a member of Parliament. In our caucus, we see people from farmers to dentists to teachers to business people. We even have some lawyers, Kyle. But the great thing is that everyone brings with them a skill set that they put on the table that makes our democracy thrive. And I am thrilled when I have the opportunity to meet with young people who are saying that they are aspiring to leadership, to advise them, advocate to them, to get their education, to get their life experience, and to think about how they might want to be an elected member to any level of government, because we need good, thoughtful, conscientious people at every level of government.
Thank you, Lois.
I want to speak to our federal leader, Tom Mulcair, and he's the reason that I essentially decided that I could actually run in this federal election, because I saw someone who had integrity and was willing to stand up for what he believed in. He was able to reduce emissions, greenhouse gas emissions in Quebec when he said that he could do that, and he was willing to walk away from the table when he felt like he couldn't participate in certain things. I hope that that's what people think of me when they see my work in the community. I have a very strong voice. I'm not afraid to speak out, even when what I have to say is unpopular, and I would say that that's probably one of the things that is most important. And sometimes it's most difficult to disagree with those who are closest to you when you have a difference of opinion. But I believe that we've cultivated an environment in our party, and certainly in our community here amongst the New Democrats that are working with me, that we can talk about all these issues and lead in a way that reflects everybody's opinion.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bill. And I think the first part of your question was, what sort of traits do you feel are associated with leadership? And I think perhaps the number one trait or characteristic of leadership is empathy. And that's the ability to put yourself in the other person's shoes that you're either dealing with as an adversary or as a colleague or as a co-worker. So I think that's a very important trait to have. And I like to think that I need have that, but I like to work on it as well. And with that comes listening and the ability to work with others. And not always thinking that you're right and that your way or the highway, but the ability to compromise, take into consideration other people's points of views and perspectives, and work together to come to what you think the best conclusion to whatever problem might be arising at that time. So these can all be derived from different experiences. You know, I have some experience in business. I have a lot of experience in the community. I work with big and large businesses all the time through my professional work, and I've been involved in the community with the United Way, Aurora Newmarket Family Health Team, and these types of experience I think have helped me to hone these skills that I think are important for leadership. Thank you.
How much impact can your party truly have on job creation? What is your party's platform, of course, on job creation? And I'd be interested in knowing, how do you actually create jobs? Like, how do you make these jobs happen, and how will you support our community here in Newmarket, Aurora, in terms of trying to generate job growth?
Thank you, Bill. Our party's position on job growth is really to focus on local small businesses, and the reason that we feel that this is the way to go is because local businesses do employ and drive the engine of the economy, and will employ and hire people and provide good jobs. So we intend to grow jobs in that sector by actually reducing small business taxes. We have a lot more belief and trust that this will happen when we invest in local economies than when we promise large corporations tax cuts based on the fact that they intend to reinvest in the country, which we know often doesn't happen. So our platform is very much to invest in innovation, in small businesses. And I think that we can have an impact. We have to choose where we're going to have that impact. And I think we also have to stand up for the things that we believe are important, which is full-time, good-paying jobs with benefits, the kind of jobs that people need to be able to live. And the way that I would look at creating jobs in Newmarket
Tax
Aurora,
plan that we have put in place in Canada has seen the creation of 1.3 million net new jobs since the end of the recession. And I have here some statistics from the York Region survey, the York Region Business
Bill, let me know when I can jump in.
And it says that the job growth has grown in Newmarket Aurora by 21% over the last 4 years.
That's a joke. That is a joke.
We hear a lot about the Conservative Party's low tax plan and job growth numbers.
Oh my God.
But the fact of the matter is, these are precarious employments. They're part-time employments. People in Newmarket and Aurora are suffering, and they're not having trouble making ends meet. You can wave around 21% and 10% here and 5% there, but I knock on people's doors and look people in the eyes, and they say, I'm worried about the future. And this government isn't providing a future for me and my kids.
Survey. It's available online. This is what York Region
York
is
Region
saying.
Business Survey.
They reported 500 jobs in Newmarket.
York Region Business Survey.
no, in terms of
Online.
So in terms of precarious work, I would say, Kyle, you're on the right track. I believe that in the last 2 years, we've seen 40% of the job growth in the region, in the GTA, we're not unique, but we are part of the GTA, has been part-time precarious work, and there are less than 50% of people in the GTA simply not happened in the last 20
not
years.
true. 90% of the jobs that have been created are full-time jobs. 80%.
Oh, give me a break.
People know better. You can say stats and you can say facts and you can read the emails from Ottawa that tell you what to say, but the fact of the matter is...
Yeah, that's true.
Right here in Newmarket, Aurora. I visited a business in July that is creating 100 new jobs that are high-tech jobs, right here in our community, not 2 kilometers from where we sit. Those are the kinds of jobs that people want to see.
Supported by your subsidy.
Innovation kinds of jobs.
Supported by your subsidy. A couple months before the election.
Provide jobs, Lois. Now you're telling me they provided 100 jobs. So which is it? Does government create jobs or don't they?
I didn't say it was
Well,
government
then why
jobs.
take credit for these 100 jobs?
New, innovative, new jobs.
I don't think anyone in the theater tonight would disagree that there are some new jobs being created, but it's so minuscule by comparison of the number of people who are looking for jobs. So when we're talking about 7% of people unemployed, that doesn't count the number of people who are underemployed, which is the bigger
I'm going to
problem.
jump in here, and the reason I'm going to jump in here is I'm finding that what we're hearing is a lot of repetition of facts, and I'm not hearing a lot of answers. And I think the folks here would like to hear what your party is going to do to help create those jobs, not just...
So unlike some of my friends, I do believe that government has a role to play in creating an environment that creates jobs. And part of that is to invest. And you don't create jobs by cutting. You don't create jobs by not investing in our country, in our Canadians, in our neighbors. Okay, you create jobs by investing, by creating the right environment. Investments in infrastructure is a fantastic way to create high-paying jobs. We have an aging infrastructure that needs work. Interest rates are at the lowest they've been in a generation. Let's take advantage of these two things, create jobs. In Canada, working again. Now let's get you want to talk about debt? You've been in office for 10 years and your first balanced budget is during an election. So don't tell me about debt.
I'm actually going to interject and hopefully won't be interrupted this time.
By 2015-16, we actually balanced the budget a year ahead of time.
You sold your jeans.
Who in this room, I feel like I've been the only one that's been interrupted 3 times so far, so I'd like to finish. Who in this room would like to talk about growing a green sector economy that has the world's potential for us to take leadership and create jobs right now in the region? Getting into a sector that's going to actually create jobs and be a long-term sustainable plan for our entire economy. That's what I want to see in Newmarket, Aurora, and I want to see young people invested in that and also informing what we're doing going forward.
Yep.
Continue to create jobs is, for example, the signing of the TPP. We know on the street. So Kyle, why would you negotiate a trade agreement on the street? The details Of course, it will be debated in the House of Commons.
Parliament.
We brought that legislation in, not you. But when we took office, there were only five trade agreements that Canada had negotiated. We now have 44, and one job in every 5 in Canada is dependent on trade.
We have
good growing jobs.
So I guess
trade jobs are good jobs.
The trade
Do you mind, Ms. Kelly? I think you went before Ms. Brown. I think it's my turn. Thank you. We're trying to be polite here.
All right, let's,
And trade jobs are important jobs, but the fact of the matter is Canada now is entering its 50th month of trade deficit. 50 months of trade deficit. Do you know what that means, people? We are losing on these deals. Our partners are getting more from the deals than we are. And Ms. Brown is bragging about those deals. It's costing Canadians jobs. We're paying more for things that we need to. The fruits of the deals are not being met, and she's taking credit for them. We're actually, our market share in emerging markets has shrunk for the last year and a half, okay? There's nothing to be proud of with your trade deals, Ms. Brown.
That's only in the area of our manufacturing sector is wrong.
sorry, I'm going to wrap up, and then we're going to move on to the next question. It's been great. Thank you very much. Question for you is, as a federal party, what is your plan to deal with this? And
The federal government cannot step into provincial jurisdiction and tell them what their priority projects are going to be. That's why we are absolutely working with them hand in hand. If you take a look at the Riverwalk Commons project that took place right here in Newmarket, it was an agreement of 1/3 municipal, 1/3 provincial, 1/3 federal. But it's up to the municipality to designate what their priority projects are.
I think Bill made a good
We can't step in and tell them that. The province of Ontario has its own priority projects. We had to work with them to get the extension of the 404 and the extension of the 407. We've said there are problems with gridlock, but we can't tell them what their priority projects are. They must come to the table with those first.
okay. Excuse me, I'd like Jeffrey to move on because she said I had a good point.
I know, see? I'm learning the rules of this game as I go. So your point was that if this is the problem and we're faced with this pattern of inability to solve problems at a municipal level because of the intricacies of trying to work with the federal government, then I think the federal government should recognize that, this is a bigger problem than municipality by municipality, and that's what we've been lacking, is the leadership at a federal level. It's just too easy to say that that problem belongs to the provinces, and while we're at it, I want to talk a little bit about what problems the municipalities are also facing, because as the federal government has downloaded so much of the costs for a number of different things like housing and dealing with homelessness and all the other things that they have downloaded to the provincial governments and to the municipal governments, dealing with people who have fallen through the cracks because a lot of the income programs have been canceled and pension plans have been slashed. This is a problem that's happening in all municipalities. So there is going to be a point at which they say, I'm sorry, we can't take care of the people that are falling through the cracks because of your choices. We can't build our roads. We can't do anything because we keep having these costs downloaded to us year after year after year. It's bigger than just infrastructure.
Well, Ms. Kelly, that's categorically true. Constitutionally, those issues that you've just raised do belong to the province. It's why at the provincial level we have a Ministry of Municipal Affairs. We do not have that at the federal level.
Government around healthcare, and they refuse to meet with them.
Why can't you work together with other levels of government? What's so wrong with working together?
The infrastructure projects
I
that have
know.
been accomplished.
Okay, let's move on.
But you also just said 80% of it's not your responsibility.
All right, so let's move on. Thank you very much. That was a very robust discussion.